Sweet Home Alabama. Trust me, it will make sense later on, because today we are talking about Imperial Knights, and more specifically one man that almost managed to kill Horus himself. Of course, if he had succeeded, he would have cut Heresy book series by 70%, depriving Games Workshop of millions upon millions of dollary dues. So he needed to fail, but he still gave it a good shot. Today we are talking about none other than the hillbilly sister lover himself, Raven Devine. But before we do that, more than 95% of you who watch my videos aren't subscribed, so if you enjoy this one, remember to click the like and subscribe button. Okay, enough shilling, let's just get into it. Raven Devine came from Shocker House Devine. He was the second son of Lord Cyprian and as such was not originally meant to get the position of ruler. His older half-brother Albert was supposed to be the one to inherit the familiar right to the throne. And you know what, Raven actually was a decent brother at the start, who respected and admired his older sibling, even saving his life once. Don't worry, we'll get to that in a bit. The only fucked up thing that he was doing at this time was fucking Albert's wife, Lynx, who just so happened to be Raven's older twin sister. Although he didn't know that at the time. I guess better name for her would have probably been Cougar rather than Lynx. And yes, she did know that they were related and she still went through with it. Now, fucking one of your brothers is already bad enough, but bouncing on both of them is the devil's work. She was a high-ranking member of the Serpent Cult, which was low-key just a light Slaanesh worship. So that does explain a bit of her degeneracy and attraction towards taboo subjects. At the beginning of the book, Raven even mentions the serpent tattoo on her shoulder and how getting caught with it in public could get you shot for disobeying the Imperial truth. Lynx was also a low-tier psyker and could sort of see the future, saying that Raven would be a great leader alongside being instrumental in defense of Moloch. After Lynx and Raven had an unholy playtime session in bed, they got broken up by their mother, Lady Sabella, who told Raven to get dressed and prepare for the ritual of becoming. A ritual of becoming being a tradition where you basically shove a nobleman inside a mecha and wait to see if he shall conquer the beast or turn into a lobotomite. Older brother Albert was wearing a traditional power armor set to the occasion, whilst Raven, upon the insistence of his mother, wore a normal dress. Whilst they were heading towards their soon-to-be mechs, they were being watched by their father, who was piloting his own knight. They were heading towards their destination in an old-school traditional carriage that was being drawn by cybernetically augmented beasts, which doesn't sound safe. And sure enough, it wasn't, because when they arrived to their destination, a suicide bomber with an allegiance to the Serpent Cult threw an EMP bomb that released the beasts from their neural implants. The CMP also disabled both Albert's power armor as well as his power sword. Raven picked up his brother's power sword and prepared to fight the beasts, which would have surely resulted in his death. Beasts were impervious to lasguns, and unpowered power sword wouldn't have done shit to them. But in the end, he didn't have to fight them, because their father's Imperial Knight recovered relatively fast from the EMP and dealt with the beasts. People seeing Raven amongst the bodies of monsters defending his brother proclaimed him a hero, thinking that he was the one soloing them. Bro was unintentionally aura farming. Anyway, after all that, their father, not keen on letting go of traditional bonding date, told Raven to get going and get both himself as well as his brother to the trial chambers, so that they could bond with their machines. Now listen, Raven may be semi-smart when it comes to tactics, but he ain't the brightest tool in the shed. So seeing his brother traumatized from being almost murdered and kinda spring-locked, instead of cancelling his brother's procedure, he instead decided that they would both go in at the same time to their respective knights, as was previously arranged. This resulted in Raven bonding fairly well with his knight, whilst his brother turned into a vegetable. Also, the last words his brother heard before losing his mind were "the serpent god lives," said by one of the Night House retainers. Okay, so who could have possibly been behind this attack, and what were their intentions? Surprise, surprise, it was Raven's mother and sister. Raven's mom was the high priestess of the cult, so together with her partner in crime daughter, they conceived a plan to get rid of both Raven's father as well as his brother, basically clearing his way to the shiny throne and rulership of the world. Of course, this plan failed, but it wasn't a complete loss. Raven was considered a hero for trying to save his brother, whilst his brother turned into a vegetable. There was only one obstacle standing between Raven Raven and the throne, that obstacle being his father, which his sister and mother managed to convince needed to go into permanent retirement. Yeah, he got killed. So now Raven was the sole ruler of Moloch, and just in time, because Horus and the traitors were coming, and the loyalists needed a clear and coherent chain of command to even stand a chance. Elements of Ultramarines, Blood Angels, Mechanicus, and Titans all came in to defend Moloch, alongside 58 million Guard and PDF troops. Which, Games Workshop numbers, they make my head hurt. 58 million wouldn't be enough to garrison surface area of North America, let alone an entire planet. Anyway, after obliterating the Imperial Navy, the traitors decided to, I shit you not, do a naval invasion. You know, one of the most challenging operations in human history. What they should have done instead was to simply keep chucking asteroids at the planet until the loyalists surrendered. But no, genius Horus decided to roleplay an Iwo Jima invasion and suffered approximately the same percentage of casualties. Even almost dying at one point when Raven decided to go on the counterattack and pinpoint blast Horus to the fucking face. Horus was only saved by literal demons and possessed marines through "Get down, Mr. President!" Which funnily enough means the Secret Service is getting outplayed by literal unorganized demons from hell. I guess demons don't care about swap troops. I guess it makes sense, they do have hooves. Anyways, Raven crew didn't get out of this scuffle unscathed, because all of them except Raven died in the fight. Raven only survived by pulling the old JoJo strat of "this guy has some crazy plot armor, I should probably run the fuck away." Can't really blame him, Gilman pulled the same strat against Angron and Lorgar. After failing to kill the War Master, Raven decided to wage a conventional war against the traitors. Now, you may hear in the fandom that he was winning this war, but I assure you he wasn't. He was using Manstein's strategy of retreat, retreat and retreat all the way to the fucking Berlin. In more layman's term, he was inflicting 3 to 4 times as many casualties as he was taking, but he was getting slowly but surely pushed back to his capital. Although in saying this, Horus was pissed with the situation at hand. This was supposed to be in and out, a 20-minute adventure, and now it was turning into fucking Stalingrad, draining the traitors of their elite Astarte forces and, more importantly, time. Each day they spent on Moloch was another day Imperium had to fortify Terra and get more reinforcements to the throne world. Something needed to be done, so Horus summoned Fulgrim to roleplay as the Serpent God and to either kill or corrupt Raven. Fulgrim showed up in front of Raven and started talking sweet, censored words to him. Even Raven's Knight told him that trusting Fulgrim was a good idea. Now, talking about Raven's Knight could be its own separate video, but the Knight was heavily corrupted by Slaanesh at this point, and only Raven's willpower was keeping it in check. So Raven decided to blast Fulgrim straight to the face. Fulgrim was not pleased with this kind of facial, and Raven used the JoJo strat once again by running the fuck away before Fulgrim had any chance to retaliate. Whilst all of this was happening, Albert got better, and he remembered the last words he heard, alongside getting the info that his dad is dead and that the Raven is now the ruler of the world. He concocted a conspiracy theory in his head that the Raven was behind it all, and that he needed to reclaim his birthright. So he took Raven's kids and wife hostage, then took Raven himself hostage before mowing them all down in the living room. Russian Revolution style, remember, no inbreds. After that, Albert decided to lead the charge against the traitors himself, before getting corrupted by Slaanesh and Raven's own Imperial Knight, that Albert bonded with after executing his brother and ex-wife. After that, he helped traitors take down an Imperator Titan, and not soon after that, loyalists left the planet, considering the battle for Moloch to be essentially over. Okay, that would be it from me. If you liked this video, remember to smash the like button, comment any interesting thoughts and opinions that you may have in the comment section. Until the next time, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Goodbye.